New York is really a prime example of a problem Democrats seem unwilling to confront. Blue cities are out of control, promising more, spending more, delivering less, and pushing off the fiscal problems to some future day.
Boy, I got to tell you, when your allied network CNN starts to eviscerate your policies and just can't help but tell the truth about how despicable you are, I just wonder, could the Hippocrats, could the Democrats actually pay attention to what I am calling the only voice of reason, besides John Fetterman, even though I think he's been excommunicated, that I've heard come out of this party. There's no way in a million years you will ever convince me that Fareed Zakaria, whether it's known or not known, is not a leftist, a liberal, a Democrat. There's no way. But his take today on his show on Zohran Mamdani and the Democrats continually, consistently, and ceaselessly being a losing proposition for America is absolute gold. And I've also got the great Harry Enton. The great Harry Enton is going to, actually, you know what? I'm going to play this clip first, and then I'll share the entire, you got to see the whole Fareed take, which is amazing. Harry Enton says that the Democrats are facing an electoral college disaster in the only kind of flair, zest, and gusto that Harry can exhibit. Watch this first.
Take into account the population mid-2025. Look at this. The biggest population growth this decade, all 5 of the states that Donald John Trump won in 2024. Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, and of course the great state of Arizona, where I spent my New Year's Eve. I love those folks out in Prescott, Arizona. These were the biggest gainers in terms of population compared to the 2020 census. Now, it's not just a red state boom. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at a red state boom here, but it is not just a red state boom. We're also looking at what I would dare call a blue state depression, because who are the people? Who and where are the people moving from into the red states? Well, they're blue states. They're blue states. Take a look here. The lowest domestic net migration this decade. All 5 of the states that were won by Kamala Harris in 2024. Look at this. California, Harris's home state. New York, where I'm coming from right now, of course. Illinois, New Jersey, and of course the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which is a bastion of blue liberalism. These are the states that folks in the United States are moving away from and into the red states, which is propelling a red state boom. Now, this is interesting, right? But it could also have major political ramifications if it holds for 2030, the next census. Because take a look here. If in fact the 2025 population shifts hold for the 2030 census, look at this. Look at the House seat shifts by state. Remember, of course, we apportion the number of House seats depending on the population in each state. If in fact the 2025 population shifts hold for 2030, states that Kamala Harris won, they would lose 7 seats in the United States House of Representatives. The states that Donald Trump won in 2024, they would gain 7 seats. Now, this isn't just about the House of Representatives, right? It's also about the Electoral College, because the number of electoral votes that each state gets is equal to the number of senators. Each state, of course, has 2, plus the number of House seats that they have. So what would this mean for the House of Representatives? Well, if you remember back in 2024, right, it was all about, we were talking about the blue wall. If Kamala Harris could win the baseline Democratic states and then add in the blue wall states of Michigan, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, she would get to 270 electoral votes. But if all of a sudden we in fact have applying the 2025 estimates, the population estimates, to the Electoral College, the blue states plus the blue wall of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin would no longer be enough. Under the current estimates, you get to exactly 270 electoral votes, the minimum needed to win the Electoral College. If in fact you apply the 2025 estimates, look at that. You would only get to 263 electoral votes if you were a Democrat, which would mean a Republican victory.
Amen to that. That's just, this is consequences to your policies. I live in California. The only reason I'm staying in California, besides the fact that I absolutely love it here and I love the weather, and I pretty much lived here for the last 45 years when I moved from the Midwest, back when I was just a wee laddie, is that my family's here. My mom and dad are here, who are, in their twilight years, as well as my wife's family is here. And plus, it's probably, there's a part of me that's like, I want to fight for this place. But there's a reason why Newscomb is being hailed as the number one U-Haul salesman of all time, because we're seeing massive, massive migration out of the state. And not just from residents, not just from the hardworking blue-collar middle class, not just from the hardworking, maybe upper middle class or upper class, but also businesses. When you've got businesses like Valero is leaving California, Chevron. I mean, these industries are like, it's like a casino. Like the house always wins. They never lose money. When you got companies like, Microsoft and Tesla, and now you've got Zuckerberg leaving, the billionaire, because of the stupid wealth tax. Like, who wants to give money to these people? Who wants to give money to a guy who literally has dumped in the last 25 years billions of dollars into a homelessness industrial complex where he says it's to save and help homelessness? And this goes all the way back to 2004, when in fact we can statistically, metrically measure that homelessness has gotten exorbitantly worse. So these policies, these Democrats, these blue-run states and cities are creating this. And you know what? They reap what they sow. And so I could not be any happier. My biggest fear was Kamala. I thank God. I get on my knees, y'all. You don't believe me. I get on my knees every morning, and I thank God that Kamala didn't win. I wasn't just saying that 2024 was the most consequential election of all time. I meant it with every molecule in my anatomy. Now, check this out. I want to share with you this. I wonder if the Democrats will actually pay attention to this. Fareed Zakaria's take today is absolute masterful. It is a master class in, hard knocks and hard truths, and I can't wait to share this with you. Here's the full take from Fareed on blue cities being out of control. Watch.
Zoran Mamdani ran on a promise to make New York affordable.
A mandate for a city we can afford.
Last week, he unveiled a budget that is, in a word, unaffordable. New York has been fiscally profligate for so long that the headline number, $127 billion, produces little shock. But for perspective, these are similar to the annual expenditures of a mid-sized nation with all the expenses a country requires, like Greece or Thailand, devoted to governing one city. New York City's budget has ballooned in recent years. Michael Bloomberg's last budget, adopted for fiscal year 2014, totaled about $70 billion. So in little more than a decade, the budget has nearly doubled, growing faster than inflation and faster than the city's economic growth. And much of it has happened as the city has been losing the one thing that makes big government easier to finance: people. New York City's population fell sharply amid the pandemic, with a 5% decline from April 2020 to July 2022. More recent city reports show a rebound, but the city remained below its 2020 baseline as of 2024. The arithmetic is brutal. A larger bill is divided among fewer payers. Per person, the imbalance is stark. Using the Lincoln Institute's fiscally standardized numbers, New York's general spending in 2023 was more than 30% higher per capita than Los Angeles and more than double Houston. And what do New Yorkers get for this? Look at New York City schools, the largest school district in the country. The city's education budget has climbed while enrollment has shrunk. The DOE budget has risen from roughly $34 billion in 2019 to over $40 billion, while the DOE says per student spending is projected to reach nearly $35,000 in fiscal year 2026, among the highest in the nation. The outputs, graduation numbers, test scores, and reading levels, are at best middling, often comparable to places that spend a fraction of what New York does. Now come the taxes, because every political argument in New York eventually ends up at the same curbside: who will pay? New York already sits at the extreme end of the American tax spectrum. For high earners, the combined state plus city income tax reaches 14.776%. Add federal taxes and the combined marginal rate can exceed 50%, reaching roughly 55% on certain investment income. New Yorkers pay tax rates comparable to European countries that provide in return universal health care, free college education, and amazing infrastructure. New Yorkers get some 300 miles of sidewalk sheds. On business taxation, the city is also off the charts. The Citizens Budget Commission reports that New York City business activity faces the country's highest combined corporate tax rate, 17.44%, once state, city, and regional layers are stacked. Mamdani wants to hike income and corporate rates even further, or else he says he will raise property taxes by almost 10%. Property taxes already made up more than 27% of the cost of home ownership in the city as of 2022, above the national average. New York is really a prime example of a problem Democrats seem unwilling to confront. Blue cities are out of control, promising more, spending more, delivering less, and pushing off the fiscal problems to some future day. Take Los Angeles, another one-party metropolis wrestling with affordability and disorder. The city's homelessness budget for fiscal year 2025-26 totals about $950 million. The LA Homelessness Services Authority reported that in 2023, homelessness was up 9% countywide and 10% in the city. And a 2024 AP account noted that homelessness has surged 70% countywide since 2015 and 80% in the city. All this amid public frustration despite billions spent. An audit reviewed $2.4 billion in city homelessness funding and found that officials could not reliably track where it went or what it achieved. Or take Chicago, with a mayor whose approval rating is deep underwater, where the pension promises are so large that they will surely bankrupt the city at some point. What is the theory of good government here? If the answer is keep adding programs, the city will keep producing unaffordability, because unaffordability is what happens when government becomes a machine that grows faster than the society it governs. Zohran Mamdani's basic instinct is correct. Focus on affordability, especially housing, but not by providing government subsidies. These only seem to have driven up the cost of rent, as subsidies naturally do. The city's rental assistance spending rose from $263 million in fiscal year 2020 to $1.34 billion in the most recently reported fiscal year. That is a 5 times increase in a handful of years, and housing costs only got worse. Matt Iglesias persuasively argues that the city should make it easy and routine to just build abundant market-rate housing. That will bring in more people, expand the tax base, fill the schools, and increase local GDP. And that will make the budget affordable. For Democrats in city halls, there is a choice. Stop governing as if the goal is to announce new entitlements, and instead make government work. Safer streets, functioning schools, predictable sanitation, and above all, enough housing that the middle class can find places to live. New York City does not need more soaring rhetoric. It needs more homes.
I mean, if you close your eyes and you pretend that Fareed Zakaria is Trump, which he basically says the same thing. We need safer streets. We got to get, I mean, he says it in his own, quite frankly, he says it in his own way. I got my own way of talking, right? I do. I don't talk like the rest of the guys. But he's basically essentially saying the same thing. Keep government out of it. Stop adding all these entitlement programs. Taxpayers are already worked to the bone. We saw like a revolt amongst a lot of African-American New Yorkers who were yelling and screaming back at Mamdani, who promised them all these things. And now they're saying he's going to raise their property taxes. I did a whole video on that yesterday in case you missed. He's basically saying the same thing. This is just common sense. You know, there's a reason why you guys have the lowest approval rating of all time. I don't know what it is. You take what Harry Enton said about the census, about people leaving all these places. Consequences, elections do have consequences. Policies do have consequences. anti-American, communist, socialist ideologies and methodologies have consequences. They're not compatible with Western civilization. They're not even compatible with the American way or Constitution. You take all of that, and the fact that they're fighting ICE and fighting law enforcement officers who are simply doing their job, the will of the people through their representatives that they elected. Trump ran on this throughout all of 2024. There's only one solution that you can come up with, and that is the reason why they are absolutely crapping on us and helping all the criminals, the illegals with healthcare and credit cards and housing and free this and free that, is because of one thing: what happened in 2020. That's the only way they can retain power, which is why I just posted this. I'm going to share this on I just posted this on my X account. I highly recommend everybody follow me on X. But you've got one of the worst politicians that have ever ran for any office, Karen Porter, who just off the heels of President Trump having another assassination attempt on him by one of these whack job leftists, had the audacity to say, this is what I'm going to run on. Watch.
Simple, powerful message that we can all agree on. Say it with me. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's right. Trump.
Dan Bongino said today when they were talking about the Mar-a-Lago man who was unalived, I did an entire live stream on it this morning, was saying that I've worked for 5 different presidents and I've never seen anything like the amount of insanity that is directed towards President Trump. That was, and by the way, that wasn't SNL, what you just saw. That wasn't fake. That wasn't AI. That was real. That was an actual candidate running for governor of my home state, the 4th largest economy in the world, whose platform is F Trump. That's real, y'all. So I posted this. Given everything that we've seen in this video, everything that I shared with you, from Fareed to Harry Enton, to consequences to all of these insipid, ridiculous policies and laws, I posted this. They fight for criminals. They don't possess an ounce of common sense, embody hypocrisy with every breath, and spew hate for America on the international stage, a la Newsom, AOC, Hillary Clinton when they went to Munich and elsewhere. They think a child is able to make a life-altering decision with a medical professional about their body, but in the same breath say that a black person is incapable. What an insult. A black person is incapable of getting to the DMV to obtain an ID. So that's Jim Crow, requiring ID to make the most consequential decision as a citizen of a sovereign nation, picking the people who you want to represent you and pass and enforce laws upon you, your kids, your grandchildren for generations to come. They're saying that that is Jim Crow, that that's racist to require ID for that, when you need ID for a million other things. They don't have one single policy or idea or strategy or vision for America other than hating Trump, who the people voted for, by the way, in a free and open election. Ergo, that means they hate Americans. This is the Democrat Party of 2026. How could anybody want to be in that party? How can you, please, liberals, Democrats, leave a comment down below. Let me know, how can you be a part of this party? I mean, I dare you. I will wait. Let me know in the comments down below. Can you name me one, just one policy, one initiative, one inspiring that really gets your patriotic fervor going? One policy, one initiative, one strategy, something that you can actually identify on the Democrat platform, other than hating Trump. Let me know in the comments. I'm going to spend every ounce of my energy making sure that America wins and you don't. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Please make sure to tap that thumbs up. Make this video go viral. It takes you less than a nanosecond. Tap the thumbs up. Share this with everybody. And let me know what you think in the comments down below. Here's the video I posted earlier. Go check that. Click on that next, and you'll get all the breakdown on what happened earlier. And then tap my face right here to subscribe and follow. It doesn't cost you a thing. And as always, may God bless you, and may God bless the USA and all who defend her. I'll see you soon.